Today, I will explain you about Applet Lifecycle in Java. What is an applet in Java? An applet is a program that is typically embedded within another application or a web page. So basically, the applets are designed for the internet applications. So we can develop an applet program, which is basically used for GUI purpose. That's the graphical user interface, where you can add some animations, some images, some sound, and multimedia concepts. So we can develop such an application and we can embed into the web pages. Applets are used to make web pages more interactive with elements like animations, games, and scrolling messages. So we'll see so many sort of designs which attract the customers. Now those all things can be possible through applet programming, where we prepare a very beautiful graphical user interfaces. Lifecycle methods of an applet. Now we have the init method, then followed by start method, then paint method, then stop and destroy. Now these are been called as the lifecycle methods of an applet. We'll see one by one. Init method of an applet. Now the init method is called when an applet begins execution. So when you talk about applet, we don't have any main method. And when we don't have main method, the question is from where the execution begins of an applet. So from init method, the execution starts. So this is the first method which has been called for an applet. And this method has been called internally. And here in this init method, we can just initialize some variables or the components like label, radio button, checkboxes, and other components can be initialized. It is the first method called for any applet because the lifecycle starts from init method. This method is used to initialize variables and AWT, that is Abstract Window Toolkit components. So as I was listing out labels, buttons, checkboxes, radio button, list boxes, there are so many components which comes under the AWT. This method is called only once during the runtime of your applet. So only one time we are going to do the initialization whenever you begin your application. And you can see the syntax, it is void init. Start method of an applet. Now the start method is called by the browser when an applet starts its execution. And whenever we call an applet application, applet program, it has been starting with the init method, and the init method is going to call the start method where your actual execution is going to start. So it is automatically called after init method when applet first begins. So here we don't call externally start method, it automatically calls. Then it is also called to restart an applet after it has been stopped. So suppose you have been working with an applet application and let's think that there is some graphics what you're running, and you just minimize a particular window where the applet graphics was running. Whenever you minimize the window, it gets stopped. Again, when you activate the window, it restarts the particular graphics from where it has been stopped. So the start and stop methods are basically called temporarily based on the situation. Now the start method is called each time an applet's HTML document is displayed on screen. So whenever you activate the particular browser, the start method is called. Whenever you minimize or close, minimize the window, or you shift your cursor from one browser window to the other browser window, then it gets stopped. If the user leaves a web page and comes back, the applet resumes execution at start method. So that's what start method and stop method are only the temporary methods. Whenever you shift from one web page to other web page, the earlier web page gets stopped, and the next web page gets started. Again, you come back, the previous web page will be getting started. So the syntax for the start method is void start. Paint method. The paint method is called each time an AWT based applet's output must be redrawn. So whenever you want to put some text or some components on screen, then we can go for the paint method. Any point of time we want to put some message onto the screen, then we can go for paint method, or any refresh or updation you want to do on screen, then you can go for paint method. The paint method has one parameter of type graphics. So there is a graphics class. The graphics class is holding some few methods what we can use. in order to display some string on the screen. The graphics parameter will contain the graphics context, which describes the graphics environment in which the applet is running. Suppose you want to draw some line, or you want to draw an arc, you want to draw a rectangle. Now these predefined methods are available for each and everything, and we can use that. And if you want to write or display some text on screen, we have something called drawString method. The drawString method is accepting three parameters. One is the message what you want to print, and the x coordinate and y coordinate. The intersection point of x and y coordinate, the text is first character is going to start. Now that everything will be done by using the graphics class, and the graphics class has been passed as a parameter for the paint method. So any updation you can do in the paint method, any refreshing of the window can be done in the paint method. So every point of refreshing, the paint method is getting called. Stop method of an applet. The stop method is called by the browser to suspend execution of the applet. So we are not completely destroying or terminating the application. We just suspend the execution of the particular browser for some time. So whenever you come back to the particular window, again the start method is called. Whenever you leave the browser, the stop method is called. Now once stopped, an applet is restarted when the browser calls the start method again. So that is the reason I was saying these two are temporary methods, and the syntax of this method is void stop. Destroy method of an applet. Now the destroy method of an applet is called by the browser just before an applet is terminated. So any point of time I want to release the resources, then the destroy method is called before the termination of your actual application. The applet will override this method if it needs to perform any cleanup operations prior to its destruction. So I want to just shut down some processes which are running before the termination of your actual application, then I can use the destroy method. And this destroy method is also called only one time. And the syntax for this one is void destroy. Now, additional information about applets. Now the init method, start, stop, and destroy methods. 4 methods are available in java.awt package. In that we have a class called applet class. In this, these 4 methods are available. Now coming to the paint method is available in AWT. There is a class called component class. In that the paint method is available. Now, what are the runtime environments for applet programs? So you develop an applet program and you need to run that application. So where you are going to run. So the runtime environments for applet programs are Applet Viewer as well as the web browser also. Now this Applet Viewer is basically an exe file which comes with your JDK, Java Development Kit software when installed in your system. And the web browsers already, through, because day in and day out we use the web browsers for running. So both are used for the runtime environment for the applets. Now we have an applet tag in applet environment. Now generally we write this applet tag in order to just give some information to the HTML document, like what is the Java applet name and what is the height of the window and the width of the window of your applet window where your output is being projected. So the purpose of applet tag is to embed and define an applet application within an HTML environment. So this applet tag is part of your HTML program. So we can write this applet tag in your HTML program separately and save as .html, and we can run separately a .html program. So in this, we do have some attributes. I'll explain the next slide what are the attributes are available. An applet is a Java application that runs within a web browser to make a page more interactive. Since the applet tag is part of your HTML, so we can run onto the web browser. The applet tag tells the browser to invoke the applet class, which defines the applet behavior and characteristics. So your applet program is part of Java, like you write .java extension. When you compile the program, you get a .class file. So that .class file information you need to put for one of the attribute called code for this tag at applet tag, so that whenever you execute on the browser, that java.class file will be called. Now, what are the attributes of applet tag? So we have something called code base, and we write the URL of the code base. That means suppose your applet file, whatever you have been developed, and you compile it, but that particular .class file is not available in your current folder, it is available in some other folders, then you need to give the complete path here. You need to write the path where your actual .class file is existing. If the applet file is in the current folder, then you write the file name directly. There is a relative path, this is an absolute path. Now, here you can see the square brackets. Now the square brackets for few cases are optional. That means if it is required, you write, otherwise leave it. But the without square brackets is mandatory. So code is mandatory. Width of the window, applet window, height of the applet window is mandatory. So for the width, you write the pixels like 300 by 300 width or 400, 300. It's up to you, whatever the window size, the applet viewer window size you want to specify. Now here, if suppose some browsers are not supporting your applet, then you can put some alternate text here. If the browser is not supporting some information to the user, you can write for the alt tag, alt attribute. You can write some text here. Then every applet can be given some name because there will be a number of applets running. I want to identify a certain applet by name. So you can give some user-defined name here for name attribute. Then I can align the applet by using alignment like left, right, center. Then I can give the vertical spacing and horizontal spacing for the components what you're placing. No, that I can give how much gap I need to give vertically, how much gap I need to give horizontal spacing whenever you're displaying some components on screen. Now I have a param tag where you can give some parameters for your applet program through the tag. Now the param tag allows you to specify applet specific arguments. Now here you can see there is a param tag. There is a two attributes, one is name and one is value. So here you write the attribute name, here you write the value. Now for example, I write name equal to color, attribute name is color, value equal to some red. Okay, like that you can mention so many parameters, and these parameters can be accessed in Java program. Applets access their attributes with the get parameter method. Suppose if you want to access this value in the Java program, you need to use one method called get parameter, and you need to give the name of the parameter here. Suppose I said color here, you write get parameter in double quotes, you write color. Then your answer will be red. So like that, you can write a number of parameters. So for all attributes, you can apply this get parameter name and give the parameter name. That when you give the parameter name, attribute value will be extracted. Now the param tag is a subtag of applet tag. So you are not going to write param tag separately. You need to write as part of the applet tag, then close the applet tag. So this is some information about the applet lifecycle and some additional information about the applets with some attributes and tags. If you like this video, please subscribe and share it to your friends. Thank you.